Now, Buck Showalter met with the media a short time ago, and he talked about who he's going to start tomorrow in Game 1 of the American League Championship Series against the Kansas City Royals.
Tillman's going to start tomorrow night. And, in fact, Dan and I just discussed the roster again. We'll tell everybody that needs to know tonight. But, there's the, we feel like from what we hear that we'll get the game in tomorrow. But the way it works is if you turn in your roster at 10 o'clock in the morning, which you have to do, and the game is rained out, then you can resubmit your roster the next day, because now you'd probably be playing 5 games in a row, and it may change the way you do pitching. So, we'll turn in a roster tomorrow at 10, and then see. We think we're going to be able to play. So, but if not, then the worst thing is if you turn in a roster and you play 2 innings and get banged, then you can adjust it. So I'm sure it's the same thing everybody else is talking about.
Who else? Rich?
But I'm going to talk to guys today, so need to know, before they leave here tonight, they'll know.
Rich?
Buck, you talked about how difficult the decisions were before the division series on the final roster. Are they as hard or harder or easier?
Well, they're always hard because, it's guys that have been with you all year, or even if they've been with you a week, or if they've been with you through spring training. You've got a real, everybody, we'd like to have them all on there, but obviously you can't. So they're hard. There's no easy decisions, and you don't take any of it lightly or callously. It means not only a lot to the club that we're going, the competition, but it means something to those guys, and you try to let them know as soon as possible. We've got Quentin Berry will be coming tomorrow to be with us regardless of whether he's on the roster or not, as will Ryan Webb, as will Chris Davis.
Right behind Rich in the middle.
Yeah, Buck, how good are these 2 bullpens, and how important a factor do you think they'll be in the series?
Well, certainly that's a pretty easy go figure on paper because it's been a strength of both clubs. But, the postseason has a way of, you really never assume or take anything for granted. And, we won't. I know they won't. So that's what's so intriguing. Something that appears it should happen on paper may not happen. And, you have to be ready to adjust that. What if? You bring this guy in for this guy, and he's 0 for 14 off of him, and he gets a hit. What are you going to do? I mean, the game has a funny way of, you can't assume anything. Yeah, on paper, certainly, but I think what gets missed is how good the rotation is. Not missed, but just it's a very good rotation that Kansas City runs out there, as does, we have a lot of confidence in ours too, and that's what makes it so intriguing. Is you got these 2 things kind of colliding, and I think everybody has some curiosity about it, and these are the best players in the world and the best teams that baseball in our world has to offer. And fortunately for me and for y'all, we got a good seat to watch it.
Brittany?
Buck, 2 things real quick. You mentioned Chris Davis. Is that still?
I tried to slide that through. No, you caught it. Couldn't get by.
Is that still a decision that's being made? Obviously, he's got 5
Chris
games.
No, Chris won't be on this roster.
Okay.
No, and he's, that would be Game 6. We're not going to play at 24 for 5 games.
Okay.
And but then if we're fortunate enough to continue to play, then we'll readdress it.
And you talked about talking to the guys tonight. Does that mean the rest of the rotation? I mean, do you have a 1, 2, 3, 4 as it sets up right now?
As it sets up right now, but for instance, Bud Norris will be in the bullpen tomorrow night. Wei-Yin Chen will be in the bullpen tomorrow night. Miguel Gonzalez will be in the bullpen tomorrow night. We'll see when the smoke clears after Game 1 what bullets are left. We're going to put all the emphasis on each game and then move on to the next one.
On your left, Buck, Tyler?
Buck, Adam Jones is talking about what a special relationship he has with you, or what admiration he has for you. What can you talk about the development that you've seen in him since you got him? And when you first got here, did you identify him immediately as a guy you were going to need to be a carrier for you here?
Yeah, that was pretty easy. I mean, it didn't take some great talent evaluator to do that. I mean, I've said before, I think Adam's impacted me as much as I may have in his mind him. It's he pretty special as far as his. When you come into a situation, you need not necessarily your best. I'm not going to single that out, but one of your best players has to play the game right. And one thing was obvious, that Adam was saying the right things, and everything, the way he played had to match up with what we needed him to be about, and it has since, since the first week I was here. And he's made my job a lot easier, because he just go, listen, you got any questions about anything, watch him, or watch JJ, or watch Nick, or watch Matt, Takes a load off of me. He makes, so not only is he impacted, the coaching staff and the management, we get down to spring training, and he's leading drills. When you see one of your best players and your best outfielders being first in line and giving great effort, and that means so much more than anything I or Kirby could say. So, and he's impacted me, and he makes me laugh 2 or 3 times a day, I think on purpose too. He's a smart guy. One thing you notice about Adam is he doesn't miss much. He mimicked me I think it was advanced meeting we had about a month ago, where I said, okay, you're going to be Jim Presley in this meeting. You're going to be Kirby when he talks about our position. You're going to be Bobby. We kind of moved him around, and they let Adam do me. And I said, how do you see that from center field? He goes, oh, I watch. He nailed it, supposedly. But he's a watcher. He sees things off ball that aren't, he's just, and it gives you an idea of what, he notices things. And he's been, let's see how he's kind of grown into fatherhood, so to speak, whatever. By the way, Zach had the baby. Xander? Great, huh? Well, he didn't have the baby, I'm sorry. 6 pounds plus. He said his wife was ticked off. She was in labor for 24 hours, and they had to go do a C-section. That's not good. I don't know how we segue from Adam Jones to Xander. I was just thinking about that with, it's already been a great series. Zach's Xander. That's a pretty good name. I like that. I beat you to it. Sorry, I do that sometimes.
John Paul.
Thanks, Buck. A two-part question for you. First, is Hundley going to be the catcher tomorrow? And then what are the keys to controlling the Kansas City running game in this series?
I think as we sit here, Nicky will probably catch tomorrow. Something could happen out here. I mean, I've heard that Caleb's hurt. I got to check on his injury, whatever that is. Now that we've jinxed him, where does that come from? I was like, anyway. And the keys to you don't. It's a given. Speed doesn't go in a slump. They're not automatically going to all of a sudden run slower tomorrow. If anything, they're going to run faster. So, you don't control that. It's impossible. That's why people look for it so hard, because it's something that, doesn't fluctuate. You hope your effort doesn't fluctuate, and speed never goes into a slump. So, it's one of those givens. Try to keep them off base as much as you can.